What up, ladies and gentlemen, traders and investors? Ken here from the Dyslexic Investor, and we are doing another live stream. This is the stock talk for May 24th, 2020. If anyone's out there in that world, can you hit the like button to let me know that my sound quality is doing fantastic and I sound fabulous? That'd be wonderful. I'm going to go ahead and test the chat right now. Send a quick test. There we go. Hope everyone's doing well. I'm gonna ping this to my Discord chat real fast to let those folks know over there. They're probably playing a bunch of League of Legends, and so they can jump on over here. Hey, what's up? Hey, thank you for making it. Glad you can hear it. So let's give it a couple more seconds. I'm gonna bring up my charts here. We're gonna have some fantastic stuff. I got couple key movers we're going to be looking at today for upcoming week. Alright, let's move that here. We're going to get this popping here in a second. What up, Wesley? How you doing? I love the emojis. Thank you. Awesome. I'm going to give it another 2 minutes because people, especially, aren't the most. So if I start talking about stuff, we can get going here in a second. Since you guys are Wesley and you guys have any stocks that you guys want to look at in particular? I can get those charts up and running. I'm going to actually have a pen and paper here to write some of these bad boys down, because so I can physically cross them off, because in the chat it just does a super bad job, unless like someone the other day they did a super chat. I don't know what the hell that was, but it highlighted on the screen. All right, looks like we're gonna go live here. Let me get this. Well, we are live, but it's out of the way. Now, there you go. Should be able to see my fantastic charts here. So we're just going to go to the very beginning here of time and just talk about SPY, which is the Standard Poor's ETF of the 500 companies here in the market. Since there is no trading tomorrow, a lot of people know this, that it's Memorial Day here in the United States. So markets will be closed. Other markets around the world will still be open, of course, but that it would be kind of hit and miss. It's going to be a short week, considering basically just from Tuesday to Friday. So we're going to have 4 days of active trading, and the futures markets, I believe, will open up tomorrow at 4:15 or 6 p.m. I can't remember. It's one of those twos. But that being said, we had a pretty crazy week just in this past week, about pretty up and down movement. Starting the week off really strong, and then kind of selling back and forth. So we gapped up from Monday to Tuesday quite a bit, and then just traded sideways in between some really key levels. The SPY really doesn't give it the justice and where it was and how it traded, due to the fact of there was a lot more movement here in the futures market, testing a lot of key levels. So if I click on the futures market here like that and let it load, you can kind of see a different tail. So the SPY is just going to track it during active trading hours, which is kind of the best way to kind of maybe cut down some noise and things like that. So that being said, we can look at overall momentum. We have closed above the 200 exponential moving average for SPY, which is a fantastic note for the good boys, or the bear or the bulls. Bad news for the bears. The 5 and 8 looking potentially, if we can stay above here, could cross the 200 as well, which is also a great look at. And of course, the downward support with the 21 slowly chugging its way up to kind of cross over the 200 day as well. This one's going to be a little more lagger I've been adding the 34 exponential moving average quite a bit into some of my charting. So that's the little orange dotted or dashed line here. So that's the 21 or 34 and then the 21 exponential moving averages. These are going to, of course, the higher the number, the longer it's going to take to trail and so forth. That being said, we can look at these two in a second. These are going to slowly start curling up, potentially if the bulls can take the wheel and steer the ship, as they say, or if the bears try to come in and capsize the bulls in the inception of the 5 and 8 coming back down, potentially crossing over the price action, the ticks, getting below the 21. These are all going to be different various metrics that we'll be looking at the sense of if the market is going to be heading higher or heading lower. Again, a lot of this stuff is going to be tied to the overall markets opening up within the economy. A lot more states, especially this weekend being a 3-day weekend, as devices shouted out. Again, short trading, a lot more people are going to start going back into society after being locked up for 60, 80 days in some cases. And it's going to be pretty intense with that on combination of extremely high unemployment numbers and so forth. All right, so we got a couple tickers coming in. We have Jason L asking about USO. So if you don't know if you guys joined at the beginning of the hour, we're going to be looking at basically, I'm just writing these down manually so I don't lose them. So Alexa, Shop, and Nvidia. All right, we can do that. Yeah, Shop has been a crazy mover for sure. That thing has just been gangbusters in the sense of that it's just been flying substantially higher. It's been a lot of movement in that. So let's go ahead and look at USO. I was actually somewhat kind of doing a little bit of research before we jumped on here to kind of understand on what USO could be doing and so forth. So again, this is again, we're looking here at a daily chart, Jason. So be mindful of that. So again, USO just did a reverse split. Basically, if you had like one share, they turn it into like 7, or I forget what they did. I wonder if I can. How did it's weird that it's not showing up. Normally it shows up a little indicator down here that it did a split, but I guess not this time. Anyways, so this thing has been completely on a downtrend again due to the overall economy, not the fair liking of things, but we've kind of created somewhat of a base here around $20, lack of better words, not a complete solid base, but $20 you can call it there. And now we have been breaking above the 21 exponential moving average, having some resistance here at the 34, so we need to kind of break above the $27 level there, Jason, to kind of break out of this for a potential break higher. And again, of course, the break lower would be around $24.50, potentially if it closes below the 21. And then you can kind of see here the parabolic SAR purple dots are still kind of printing below it, giving it some momentum to push higher. RSI is kind of blah. Momentum is somewhat stagnant. The TDM squeeze is trying to print higher, and the volume oscillator is just kind of trading sideways as well. So it looks like a lot of things are just sitting, waiting on their hands to see what's going to happen here. But we'll see on what movement goes here. Again, this thing is going to be highly levered to what happens in the economy and so forth. So hopefully that answered your questions. That's basically just a very surface level dive on USO there, Jason. And Deluxe, you want Shopify. Yeah, we can do Shop. We got that. Yeah, that one's been on fire for sure. I still kind of regret selling out of that one. That's a rough one. Yeah, it's It's past 800. Wow, 825 close on Friday. High of 826.38. Wow, didn't expect that. That has come pretty high up there. And the crazy thing is the RSI hasn't even hit on the daily chart, potentially signaling some potentially more higher prices. Again, this is going to be a huge movement due to that stay-at-home economy. And if you are long this, and you have been long for this, and you bought the dip down here, the two little dips here, you are just printing money, and I'm pretty sure you're quite happy. The momentum has been pretty stagnant on the sense of here, but the RSI is printing higher, and the volume oscillator is also printing higher, indicating potential moves higher with the RS or the parabolic SAR purple dots printing still below it. I think once the RSI on the daily chart hits 80 plus, we could potentially see a temporary top in place. I don't know if it could squeeze to 1K, but again, I don't have a crystal ball. Let me kind of look at some fibs here if there are some attracted ones coming into play. This is a very one far off. We're talking at the 2618, okay? We're talking 2 times the multiple of where it was at 1,052. So that is gonna be a very far off potential movement there. Again, we're considered an unknown territory. Looking at why people giving the evaluation of why does the stock have run up so much, we'll see what happens. On the weekly chart, it's literally a straight line up nearly. What is the angle on this? So you can go here and you can type this thing here. This is literally an 80-degree angle. I have not seen many 80-degree angles in my life. This is honestly getting a little too hot for me. But that being said, I'm not in it. I'm not trading it. But this could, if the air does run out, we could be potentially seeing some downside pretty fast. It's going to be, again, it's going to be hard to kind of capture some upside moves because it's just been a rocket ship. If you're looking at it on some downward support, again, we're just going to talk about the 21, which is be around $711, and then basically tier 2 support is going to be around $634. So hopefully that will help with that. We'll see what happens for that. And then you also asked about Nvidia, and they had earnings this week. They ended the week fairly strong as well. I think, on all-time high. We're looking for, again, I think the overall market move was, I think, $20-$25 for earnings, and it only moved maybe 10 of that. So there was some suckage in the market. Some premium out of the options. Again, this looks a lot like Spotify, but not as a drastic move up. It's just been holding the 5 and 8 exponential moving average and just continue riding higher. This is going to be a little bit more easier to do some fib retracements for you. I think we can go here, and then we're going to look at some potential so we're going to be looking at the initial, if it can get to 391. Again, that's only $27, $28 away. That's nothing unreasonable for a stock that's highly priced like that. So basically, I'm going to put it at 392, and then onward, downward support is going to be basically this break here from the earnings gap up, because we did have a gap up previously of the week, and this could kind of gap down potentially, kind of in and around the 8 exponential moving average would be around 344, and then potentially support again at 322 moving forward. And again, guys and gals, don't forget to hit that like button if you're actually enjoying this video and learning some content. I greatly appreciate it. Everyone out there who's joining in here, this is fantastic. All right, so I think we got yours covered. AD says bull gang. Yes, we'll see how that goes. Wesley, also earnings are coming up out in a week. I only think that's good as Costco's, which one comes out on Thursday. Yeah, Costco is actually on the list. I don't know, Wesley, if you saw my video that I posted this morning about some swing trading ideas that could be a potential higher moves incoming this week. We saw BJ, which is the direct Costco competitor, report fantastic earnings, literally popping off quite a bit, basically breaking to all-time highs, and making a fantastic move on that, doing to a lot of people going to the store during the pandemic, stocking up the toilet paper and everything. And I'm a Costco person. I go to Costco at least once a week, and even do have to wear the mask now, which is totally fine, whatever. But that being said, it's always busy. Like, there's a line out the door. There's people buying a lot of stuff. So I think, not saying that's going to be a direct correlation to Costco going higher, but Costco has been in this really weird, tightly spun, twined, rubber bandish kind of formation here, indicating a potential spring higher or lower. Again, we don't know which way it's going to go. We have to kind of wait for some of the price action to come through. But that being said, Costco has some ongoing support here around the 200 exponential moving average. Again, that's going to be around the 295 to 293 level there, Wesley, to help you with that. So again, earnings is coming out like on Thursday, like you mentioned. Looking for a pop higher or lower potentially. Due to it being an earnings week, it's going to be a little bit difficult to trade. Again, if you're in it long term, if it goes down and it's nothing like crazy bad, you can easily just add into it if you have the capital to do so. That being said, just be very careful and mindful of what could happen if you do options into earnings, especially if you do calls, and it just please goes the other direction. It can be a very scary scenario. And we kind of outlined the highest price. So the close of the week, the market makers are looking for a $3.15 high. Basically, that's if everything goes right and everything goes well. We could potentially see some higher prices above that if earnings come out good. If you look at it right now and earnings weren't in place and we didn't know anything about BJ's, I would be kind of signaling this could be going closer to the 200 rather than trying to break to new time highs. So yeah, Jason, the purple dots are the parabolic SAR. So if you can't, I can right click it. So it's called the parabolic SARs, and mine are 0.02 comma by 0.2. And they're I think they're a generic study within the Thinkorswim client there, Jason. Yeah, so that being said, again, it did have the 5 and 8 exponential moving average crossover, which again, if you watch the channel for more than 5 minutes, we know that it is basically more of a downtrend, potentially trying to touch the 200 rather than trying to break out and touch 300 plus. This is going to be a hard one to gauge due to the fact of there's so many unknowns going into earnings, going into the overall pandemic that we have, and kind of coming out to the tail end of things to potentially see what happens. Jason, so what's it tell you? It's the parabolic SAR is basically what it tells you is the looking at if the parabolic SAR purple dots are printing above, that means there is downside pressure with various indications of moving averages and volume that it is pushing the stock lower. It doesn't mean it's going to completely fall out of the sky. So to kind of give you a better perspective, let's pop this to like a weekly side of things. Here at Costco, so you kind of want the parabolic SARs. If you're long, you want them below the stock or below the ticks. So once the thing I really use them is I like to see when it switches. So when it switches, it kind of means like the sentiment or it has broken out that key volume area or key price target. So you can kind of see here the parabolic SAR currently in the beginning of 19 where it was going lower, due to, again, that huge sell-off and end of 18 that we had, the Christmas low, and then it kind of just traded sideways. But once you had that switch, again, this is just one indicator to identify a potential trend change, but then it kind of start printing up. But then slower, or the closer it gets to the ticks, it normally indicates a potential switch. So it only switched for one day and then it continued to go higher. I use them basically as a trend indication, if that makes sense, to kind of help me understand if it's near a switch or a trade in the trend. Uh, yeah, that's a really good point. So Deluxe said he's basically doesn't hold into earnings. If it's like a short-term play, you should never really hold into earnings. And if it's a long-term play, you kind of have to hold through multiple earnings because a long-term play is usually a couple years. Gabriel says, "Hey, what's up, man? Can you look at Square? Big move coming. Square, is that ticker SQ, right?" All right, let me pop this on the daily chart. Yeah, this thing has been kind of popping off for sure. Like, this is again the better run company of Jack Dorsey instead of Twitter, because we can look at Twitter stock. It's kind of been at and about. It's the sense of what's going on here and so forth. That being said, I think its high is at 87 before, or no, it's been at 100. My bad. Okay, so this kind of, are you long term in this? I'm pretty sure you're going to be long term in this. Or are you trading this? You can kind of see here. I kind of have this moving of this alert up here at 86. I kind of wanted to see it kind of be attracted to this. For a potential kick higher. Again, the stock hasn't been trading that much here in the market because the last year and a half it's been trading between 80 and, lack of better words, 56. Just kind of in a trend, not really much growth coming out of it as you think you could. Looking for a potential move higher. I agree. Like this is the time for it to shine in a time where there is banks are kind of struggling in the sense, and having a different form and different way of making payments and collecting money is very well. Oh, you're long and trading it. I like that. Cool. I do that with Disney all the time because you just know the company very well. I don't know the complete fundamentals as well, which I am going to be potentially starting a new series. I found this really fantastic site. I cannot remember the name of it now. I'm horrible with short-term memory. But I'm going to be breaking down some more longer-term plays that I currently have in my portfolio and doing an in-depth discussion on that. So again, looks really strong. The parabolic SAR is kind of getting close to it. But again, it has been, the movement is in front of it. The RSI down here is kind of printing flat, so is the volume oscillator. This could potentially trade sideways once it gets up to like 85, 86, and then try for a couple push higher once these moving averages kind of catch up. Again, upside potential is going to be around the 87 level, and then downward support is going to be at 78, and then at 73, 90-ish level at the 21. So just be very mindful of that. Hopefully that answers some of your questions, my friend. Vincent, what's up, man? Baba, Tencent are the Chinese companies being kicked out of the NOSA. I don't know the whole thing of that. I just know that Luckin Coffee is being kicked out of the NASDAQ or NYSE due to the fact of their fraud detection or their fraud numbers. They did a boo-boo. And if you guys saw my day trader, Davey day trading, the guy from Barstool Sports, hilarious dude, completely day trading and just gambling his money away. Again, I'm not sure on what his thought process is or what his logic is, but he definitely does a lot of YOLO plays. But that's his personality. That's what he does. So Baba, like we said, I think it has some support coming in here at 94, 95. If this breaks through it, like we said, the earnings just happened last week, so we could be seeing some potential further downside. 2 or 3 days, again, kind of giving a level 1, a level 2 scenario. Level 1 scenario to the downside is around 95, 94, and then down from that is around 190 to 189 support for that. And then upward support is going to be break above the 205 and close above it, and kind of, again, that parabolic SAR just switched from the bottom to the top. So we could be seeing some trading sideways or potentially lower more than we could see higher. Hopefully that answered your question there, my friend. Wesley, Ken, can you look at DFEN? And you're welcome on Costco. DFEN. I think we did this one. I don't know what this one is. Oh, it's an aerospace tech. Okay, that's cool. I like this. This looks like exactly like how BA would trade, honestly, but just with a lower price target. I think BA is like at 130, 140. This looks exactly like how BA is looking at. It's broken out above the 21 barely a couple times, but then just kind of be trading sideways. I actually really like this one, Wesley. Have I added this one to my list before? I like this DFEN. I gotta look on what's in it and what is a great some of the companies that are breaking inside of it, and what the weight is. Yeah, this has been beaten up from 72 to 5. That's absolutely insane. Again, I'm not sure what companies are in it, so it's going to be hard for me to kind of project that. But that being said, this thing is just tightly spun. It looks like the 5 and 8 are trying to break above the 21. I actually need to break this down a little bit more. This is really, really nasty. Here we go. So it looks like it broke out above this kind of. This is a 4-hour chart, not a daily chart. It's a 4-hour chart. So again, it kind of broke above the 21. Potentially, it's been printing higher and holding the 21 to the upside. It looks like a squeeze is getting ready to fire, potentially spooling up for a move. The parabolic SAR dots are really close to a potential kick higher or a rotation switch. Again, this is going to be highly levered to the overall news again. And again, I'm not sure what all the stocks that fall into this. That being said, I like this. Like, again, if you keep it on a short leash, if you're long it, once it starts closing below like the 10.25 or lower, it could potentially get out if you're trying to trade it. I might actually be adding this to some longer term plays because I like this much better than just buying straight BA. This is a great suggestion there, Wesley. I appreciate it, my friend. Did that. Wesley Kai says CBA. What is that? Is that a penny stock? CBA. I'm probably gonna be energy. Is it CBA, right? It's not loading for me. It's saying it hasn't been live since 11/18 2018. Is this stock or XJO? XJO. Yeah, none of those tickers are coming up. Are those U.S. traded companies? Jason, let's do CRM. Yes, CRM is reporting earnings as well as Thursday after the close. This thing is basically what people do online, and the huge switch on a lot of things that they're doing with the outspoken Mark Benioff, CEO. God, a lot of companies have been. I can't on Thinkorswim there. I can't pull stocks. They have to be U.S. traded stocks. I'm sorry. Going back to CRM. It's looking like some upward headwinds here at 178. So you can see the parabolic SAR. This is kind of interesting due to the fact that the parabolic SAR is above. Again, we're going to be looking for that switch hopefully next week, and then with earnings on the horizon, we could be seeing some potential movement higher. So I kind of like this. Is nice. Okay, so I want to put the 65. Is going to be basically my support to the downside. I'm going to call that my support to the downside. And then let's actually look at what the move could be for. It's going to be basically $11 from here. So $11 from here be at 88. So right about here. So previous where it went down from the beginning of the year. Looking for these this is basically the potential move up or down for CRM this week. Depending on which way you're going to be turning or tossing, that we're going to have to see potentially. It's going to be a coin flip, right? Like, I don't know which way it's going to go. I don't have that information. If I did, I would tell you probably, and I would be putting money on it, right? that just going to be super careful here, but the 21 has been very strong here on holding ever since the reversal here from the bottom. It's been really strong support here, so the 68 or 65 level, depending if it goes lower, could be a nice stoppage. A lot of the moving averages, again, it's above the 200, showing really strong support. But again, that initial level where it kind of petered out last week was around 179, where it was the 178 retracement that needs to kind of break above. But again, with earnings potentially, that could easily break it if it goes to their goes their way, right? But again, they could come out and say, hey, we just spent $1 billion on different various expenses, on XYZ lawsuits, who knows, and the guidance going out is just terrible. I don't know. That's what with earnings, you just never know. Even with their last earnings, it wasn't that fantastic, and that was basically slightly before a lot of the pandemic stuff, and it's kind of been downtrend since there. So basically, tier 1 level support on the downside is be 166, and then from there is to be around the 160, 162 level due to the fact of the 200 exponential moving average down there. And then overhead is going to again be the 189, 188 level. Hopefully that helps you, my friend. HTZ, yeah. RIP, yeah. Let's analyze Lulu. Yes, dog. We actually traded the Hello Kitty out of Nike last week. And that's been doing better than Nike. I didn't even notice that. Holy moly. Is everyone just home wearing yoga pants? Everyone's just buying their yoga pants, staying at home, right? I like this a lot. This is interesting. Let's look at some Fibonacci retracements there. Okay, definitely broke the 1. So potential, so these are kind of like really nice due to the fact earnings is kind of not really far off, a couple weeks away, like 2 weeks-ish. Looking for potential move higher, kind of looking at the 303 level. That's if everything goes well. It looks like everything is going pretty fantastic from my perspective. It's been holding the 21 very well, actually. It has not really closed below the 5 and 8, maybe just 1 or 2 days due to the overall market selling off. That is really interesting for sure. I just want to see on how they're doing this. This is fantastic, I guess, for them, like getting those yoga pants on, right? This has been a really nice. Are you in this? Who is this dog? Like, how are you trading this? I'd like to know if you're trading this or if you're long term or if you bought the dip on this. We'll love to know. Dog, you have another question. The S&P 500 should be breaking over its 200 DMA bullish reversal. So I don't use DMA. I use the daily moving average. I use the exponential moving average, and it has broken on top of that. So we kind of did that here on the SPY, and it did break above. Again, this is the 200 exponential moving average that I use here, and it has broken and closed above it. So it's kind of in a bullish territory for me. Lulu looks great. I love it. Be careful though. I'm sorry, I didn't finish my analysis on Lulu, did I? Got distracted. I do that a lot. So upward, we're looking for 303. With earnings, we have to look a little bit closer. That's on the 10th. So looking for a $35 move from where we're at today. Could easily hit the $300 limit. But again, if everything goes sour, looking for downward support. This is going to be a little bit of a trickier one. This is going to be closer to the 21 potentially. Yeah, looking around the 250 level. So it's going to be kind of a far off from where we're currently at, I know. But it's just kind of been a rocket ship higher for Lulu there. That is, hopefully that is that. Gabriel, thank you again. I have been looking at a call credit spreads. Can you summarize the risk of a call credit spread? So basically, a call credit spread, you're selling a call. Let's say, what was the stock that you were looking at? What were you looking at? Was it Salesforce? Okay, CRM. So CRM. So if you decided to do a call, so I wouldn't like to do a call credit spread into earnings because that's going to be a little cray because things can just continue going higher if they just give fantastic news. You can get a 2-3 standard deviation move on earnings. Unless you're completely and you just putting your foot in the ground and you're bearish on it and they're not going to beat it. Normally you could just do, for example, do a put credit spread and sell like the 169, 168, and then buy the lower level one at like the 165, or depending on, if you usually do $5 wide. So if you're selling the 170 put and then you buy the 165 put there as well. So that's going to be the completely opposite if you want to do a call. If you are bearish on CRM and you're going to sell the 180, I don't know, you're just going to do literally the 180 call, and then you're going to buy the call at 185 for a potential credit spread. Again, not sure what the premium is. The premium is going to be slightly higher due to the fact that it's going into earnings. But just be super mindful of that. The risk to reward is great. I love doing call, and I love doing credit spreads on puts and calls without a doubt. But I normally do that at a larger deviation. So I do that at a 2 or 3 deviation. So what I mean by that is when I pull over this chart, this actually doesn't do it justice. Basically, I'll do a deviation from the move. So if you go to the trading tab and we pull this up here, so I need to start showing you guys more stuff on options on the Tastyworks account, which I'm setting up a small account for Tastyworks to show some trading stuff for you folks there. That being said, so it doesn't really give you the standard deviations here on CRM. Let me pop over this real fast, and we'll see if we can get that going really quick. And I can kind of show you that standard deviation move if I can get that loaded up here. There we go. Let's not ride that over there. Thank you. Thank you. Told you not to open over there. Logging in. Boop, 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 boop. Wow. This opened up over there again, right? Let's see here. I don't want to show you all my positions. Let's see. What was it? CRM. And we're going to go to the trade tab. Okay, there we go. Want to make sure my count is hidden. So basically what we're looking at here in the trade tab, so if you look at the earnings coming out this week, you see the standard deviation line. So this little teal dotted blue line here is the standard deviation column. So that's the 1, 2, and that's basically what they show on the Tastyworks account. So if you wanted to sell something, you would just sell this one here and then buy this one here, or vice versa. Usually I do it about $5 wide. So again, you're going to be risking quite a bit. Again, with earnings is going to be a little bit more of a horseshoe play, but you're risking $394 to collect a premium potentially of $106. So your buying power affected is nearly $394. So that's your max loss and that's your max profit. Normally with these trades like that, I want to look for well over a 60 to 75% return on capital. So I would at least need to get back at least $65 to $70 on this play if I'm risking $40. So this is where it comes into selling options rather than going way out here and buying the 200 and then potentially never seeing this actually even getting in any closer in the money and just completely going to poopies. So if you're interested on more Tastyworks stuff, please hit the like button and comment on if you want to see more of the Tastyworks stuff. I really love Tastyworks. Again, if you're interested on opening an account as well, I have that in the description, and that actually helps directly support the channel in that sense. So hopefully that kind of helped there, my friend. I kind of like the trading tab on theirs a lot better. We did Square already, my friend. Sorry. Any thoughts on TGT? Did I say that right? TGT. Is that Target? Yeah. Yeah, so this one did have earnings, and it didn't do too hot. It's kind of coming down a little bit. I don't think it was. I don't read into earnings that much. Unless it's just the price target, I don't really dig into listen to all the conference calls and read all the numbers and the same store sales, things like that. I just glance over it. Yeah. So that being said, looking at for some potential downside support again around 116. Again, it did support. It did just report, and it usually want to give it if it's a bad thing, a bad number, or people just want to get out of it. Give it 2, 3, sometimes even 5 days for it to kind of come off, to level off potentially. Looking for it to level off around the 21, so it'd be around like 115. I'm not going to call it exactly at 115. It normally sometimes prints lower due to the fact of, let's see, the last earnings kind of came out, traded sideways. Again, that was during the beginning of the overall. Has Target been open during the pandemic? I think it has, right? I think it's going to be rebound quite a bit due to the fact that it potentially coming down. The parabolic SAR has switched over the last 2 days, so just be mindful of that. Let's look here on the weekly chart. I kind of want to see this on a longer term time frame. This really hasn't been a hit here at all for Target in the long term run, unless you're completely day trading it. Let's see here. Yeah, it looks like I kind of like it around the 115. So the 115, exactly what we talked about on the daily chart, is the 618 support on the weekly side of things. So that's going to be kind of a key level to see where it comes off from there. So let's actually move this up. But again, if the overall market just decides to sell off next week for no apparent reason, we could just be hitting some issues there, and just to be mindful of that. And if the overall market's selling off or breaking the 200 exponential moving average on SPY, it's going to take a lot of other stocks with it, because it's a levered ETF in a sense, and it's going to be moving multiple markets around with that. So hopefully that answers you. Jason, can we talk Disney? I have some out of the money expiration calls, but not even sure if it would look to exit in the coming week. Disney, yes, Disney. It's DIS. Let's go back here. So, this is a pretty big position here for my long-term portfolio. That being said, we need it to break above the 122 here. So that's the exponential moving average 200 down here. It is still below it, like a lot of stocks have been breaking out. It's performing less. It's underperforming the S&P 500 because the S&P 500 has already broken above the exponential moving average here, the 200 here. We have seen some movement going higher. Again, Disney Springs in Florida just recently opened up with some of their pandemic and virus containing guidelines, and that seemed like it has been going pretty well from what I hear, and I follow them a lot on different media outlets. It's had a huge gap up. That's my only concern here. When things kind of gap up like that, they usually kind of come back down slowly. So I think we can probably potentially trade around the 200, so the 120 to like the 115 for a little bit, just to see how the overall, if the parks start opening up, if they start talking about Disneyland potentially opening up the 1st of June, maybe the second week of June, that's going to be a huge indication for a potential pop higher. And once we start hearing a lot about sports, because you have to remember, ESPN is a pretty large bracket of a lot of their stuff that they're showing, and they're just showing reruns of Super Bowls and baseball games and basketball games, and people are not really too satisfied with their sports addiction with there. Which, again, I'm not a sports guy, so it's no problem for me. So hopefully that got you there, Jason. Michael said, let's talk Facebook. Let's talk Facebook. That thing's been, let's do fib for that one as well. I think that's going to probably hit the 127. Yeah, so potentially Upward resistance going to be around the 247. Again, this thing has just been a, lack of a better words, a rocket ship. Trying to break out higher here, making some pretty astronomical moves with its movement just last week with the overall market, just beating everything, breaking into all-time highs like Nvidia last week. It's just been super strong names and a lot of people buying into these. The downward support or the bear case, again, for the very short term, if you're trading it, it's going to be around 122, and if you're more swing trading it, it's going to be 209, and if you're doing longer term investing, it's going to be pumped to the weekly chart, and that's going to be coming down a much more greater, usually kind of fall into the 195 or the 190 level potentially. Since the movement has been so drastically higher, it hasn't triggered the RSI on the daily chart yet, which could be kind of a good indication, but once this is triggered again up here, which is 80 plus, you kind of see like a teal line, kind of see where it has happened before. It hasn't happened very often on Facebook because it drastically doesn't move that much. Let's see. Let me do here. Yeah, it did it once here. So it kind of pops up here, so you get that red of being overbought. And normally what happens once it hits that overbought, it just trades sideways or it continues going back down to 21. Because it kind of has to, like, imagine it's sprinting up a hill. It's sprinting up a hill. And after you're done sprinting up a hill, what do? You're gasping for air. You're running out of steam. You kind of need to regain your momentum, your sense of why you're running up this hill for some apparent reason, and then you can kind of pop higher and go lower. I don't know exactly what happened here. Looks like a little flush for some apparent reason, but it just continued kind of holding the 21, lack of a better words, from that point on. So this is what basically we could see here on this movement, kind of trading sideways for a little bit, waiting for the 21 to kind of catch up, and we can go from there. Michael, hopefully that helped you. How did you come up with all your charts? So many studies. I don't know how to answer that. I constantly, this is like, lack of better words, this is like 7 years in the making of just what I found works for my charts. Let's keep it like that, because it used to be worse, my friend. I know it looks like a complete mess, but it all makes sense. It really does. It really does. Yeah, so you're still setting up your charts? Yeah. Fidelity, I'm not sure what their charts. Oh, their Chartworks stuff. Great stuff. You're welcome, my friend. Yeah, you guys want to see more Tastyworks for sure. So I kind of pitched to my Patreon folks on creating like a $300 or $500 Tastyworks account and just trading some. Again, we're just going to be trading options premium and just trading around that. Rowdy says MU to the moon. Yeah, that kind of came on my radar the other day. Maybe it wasn't MU. It was, you know what? It was AMT. AMT. That was the American Tower that we talked about in the previous video. Sorry, MU. I don't know what's going on with them. You can clearly see what's happening here. It's not breaking above the 46 level where it kind of needs to break out. It's kind of trying to tightly wand squeeze here for a potential pop higher or lower. I'm not quite sure. We're going to see what happens. With no earnings on the horizon here, we can potentially see it pop lower. Again, if it pops lower, we're going to be looking at a potential price target around 42. Again, looking at previously ticks here. Again, trading in and around these levels is going to be keen. Be very mindful of these levels. Again, it has tried to break above the 200 a lot, literally nearly 3 or 4 times here, and has kind of failed. This could be some further downside potential, so be very careful with that one. With no earnings on the horizon for a potential a positive spin on the stock unless something else comes out on to kind of give it a positive spin. This kind of looks like it's just going to be trending sideways or potentially lower because it really needs to break above the 47 price target and close above it for a substantial period of time. Gold, GLOD. So that is the gold miner. What's it called? Barrett Gold. So that being said, I'm honestly looking to, I want to say short this. Excuse me, I'm gonna drink some more water. Looking to short this, but this is kind of bouncing around here. It has closed just barely below 21. You can kind of see here the 34 kind of came in to save it the previous day on Thursday. But it has been riding up the 21 quite a bit since the moving average of the 21 has kind of caught up here. This could be a potentially just trading sideways and going lower. There is a pretty big squeeze here with the red dots here. The parabolic SAR has switched to the top now. The volume oscillator kind of has bounced around here. Momentum's trying to kick higher. RSI hasn't really curved lower yet. Let's look here on a weekly time frame. This has kind of been pulling here off on the RSI with momentum. Again, it looks like it's just kind of just trading sideways like we talked about with the previous stock, which was Facebook, or the sense of once a stock moves up quite a bit or runs up the 5 or 8 exponential moving average, it needs to take a break and could be trading sideways to wait some of these larger moving averages to kind of catch up to get another wind higher. So hopefully that helps you there, my friend. I was looking at Facebook at $200 last week and sold $5 share, although missed out. Yeah, you can't go back and just beat yourself out about money you didn't make. So it's, what's the thing that Jim Cramer always says? Bulls make money, bears make money, but hogs get slaughtered. So don't be a pig. Don't hold off. Don't be greedy. A profit is a profit, even if it's a small percentage. Just be mindful of that. How much downside does Zoom still have? Dan says. ZM. So this one's kind of been on our radar for quite some time. This thing has earnings. Is it next week? No, it's the following week, right? That's the following. Yeah, next. Not this Tuesday. The next Tuesday. This one, I get this one a lot on asking which way it's going. Sorry, taking a sip of water. Which way it's going, which way it's going to be trading. I kind of had a potential head and shoulders pattern in place. It's still somewhat intact. It's not a technical head and shoulders, but what a head and shoulders pattern is basically here's the shoulder, here's the head, and here's the other shoulder. So the neckline is basically around 154-ish. So if it breaks below that, it could be potentially further downside. The biggest one with this is just the non-stop stuff I hear about Zoom. It's literally got into society and our culture, like I did in the previous video where I talked about, it's like, hey, let's get an Uber. Oh, hey, let's just Google it. Oh, hey, let's just jump on a Zoom. That analogy of that has just built into the society, and there's just so many folks that I know, because I work in the tech industry as being a head IT for my company, that there are just people just love their Zoom. Like, even though it's nothing fantastic and there's so many other products out there, it's just Zoom is just taking over the world and taking over a large market share. That being said, is that going to translate into a lot of earnings? I don't know. We'll see. I don't have anything in this. Again, earnings less than a week away, or nearly a week away. It's going to be very difficult to see what happens. It's definitely going to be one on my radar to watch, and definitely going to analyze it after earnings and see what happens. Maybe next week we can kind of see what potentially could happen. If we see a lot more selling and start breaking the 21, we could be seeing some people getting scared or cold feet to hold it into earnings, because again, we have had a lot of people buy into this, like we just talked about in the previous 2 videos ago, I think, where it was the church bought majority or a couple large positions in Zoom and Grubhub. So there's a lot of funds that are still buying Zoom zoom positions and things like that, because they're thinking it's the next big thing. So to be very careful, again, overhead support's going to be around the 181. Downward support's going to be around 160, potentially to 154 is what I'm looking for the bearish support to the downside. Again, it has been trading sideways. Nothing too far on the charts telling me that it's a red flag and just go short Ken. So it hasn't told me that yet. What do you think $500 is good for the first account for trading options? Yes, but be mindful if just don't put in $500 to each trade. You can easily trade call and credit spreads on SPY, on QQQs. You're not going to be making crazy money, but you just have to grind it out. Like I started out with a couple hundred. I actually started with multiple accounts because I busted them, and I was the imbecile who just went, oh, let me just buy 10 shares of this stock I've never heard of. I don't know what they do, and let me just hold it for 3 days and see what happens. No understanding of charts, no understanding of anything fundamental, just like, hey, I like their name, whatever. Let's just go for it. Someone told me to buy into it. Like, that's the worst, my friend. Don't ever let anyone tell you what to invest in. You got to do it yourself. Hey, how do you set up your current on the right corner? Oh, this my current setup? You're talking about the arrows here? So this is a grid. So once you create a grid pattern with one of these up here, these little arrows come up in here and play if you're asking about that. Manny C says, do you think about Penn Gaming will continue to go up? I don't really follow it, but I know that it's his face that we kind of profiled. It's going up because, again, I think this is a lot of levered to the sports. So you kind of did some initial looking at here. It needs to break out above the 718. So again, that's going to be right here at the $31 level, and then downward support is going to be around $25.65. It has been popping off, as you can see. It's been kind of a skyrocket. It did just trigger here on the RSI on the daily chart. This could be a sign of it trading sideways for some time and potentially coming back down to 25. Again, no crystal ball here. Be 100% transparent. That this could continue going higher without a doubt. Like, there is no rhyme or reason behind some stocks. Again, there could be a lot of emotions built into the stock, and there's just people piling into it due to the fact of insider knowledge. It could be all kinds of things of people are pumping it, people are buying it for some other apparent reason. Who knows? I don't really care. It's just telling me that I am looking at the price action, and price never really lies. There are some emotion triggers to it in the short term, but long term it will play out. Here on the weekly side of things, it's just been a huge pop up. It's just breaking above the 21. The parabolic SAR has switched to the bottom here now, even though having a pretty drastic bad quarter. I don't know how they're able to get around that, but this is an interesting stock to watch. I wouldn't be investing in it, to be quite honest. I just don't know the business very well. Wesley, yeah, I like Microsoft as well. I love Microsoft stock actually a lot. Yeah, they get hacked, but it wasn't kind of like an exploit, a lack of a better words. Like, anyone who has a center stage target on their head, the hackers will find it. Anything can be hacked. Let's just be fully aware of that. Working in IT, anything can be hacked. Microsoft, we own this for the portfolio. Fantastic. Again, this kind of had a wonderful V-shaped bottom, and now just kind of trading sideways, potentially here, for a lack of a better words. A lot of people getting out of it due to this move, potentially. Dividend just kind of came through. Again, it's been holding the 21. If it comes back down to the 21, could be potentially great of just selling some puts at this level. If the overall market doesn't come tanking down, but around the 21 is initially some support here and then we're looking for all-time highs of bring around 190. You should definitely try to set up the voice channel up in the Discord, man. I feel like hopping in the disc in the AM before or during trading hours would be sweet. Yeah, the only thing is that I do still work. I do have a full-time job, and lack of the better words, during the weekdays, my schedule is pretty hectic due to the company's requirements. Again, I do IT, head of IT for my company, so I'm usually fairly busy, especially in the AMs. That's why I like to use the chat channels, but I can definitely set up something on maybe doing it like an after hours trading talks and things like that. Again, guys, I think we're gonna call it here. If there's any more stocks here, we'll kind of discuss those. We're working on a couple videos this week. I'm surprised no one asked about Tesla. Like, I don't know if you guys watched my video just about Tesla on the potential movement it has moving forth. I think that this is going to have a pretty explosive move in the next 2 to 3 weeks, up or higher. I'm not sure. I mean up or lower, not up or higher. Up or lower. It's going to be kind of really tied to the overall move in. They're announcing battery days, and then their announcement of the rocket, the Dragon craft, taking off this Wednesday after the close around 4:30. I know it's not Tesla's, but it's SpaceX and it's Elon, and they're basically intertwined together. Like, they're basically the same engineers, right? They're basically just trading their ideas in between. Like, hey, in our cars we have this fantastic software, and then yeah, it's just definitely a great thing to do. I love Disney. Yes, Disney. Yes, long term. Yes, Disney to 1K. Who knows? Yeah, we'll see what happens for sure. I would love to see. Again, Tesla is a position in my portfolio, and it's near and dear to my heart. For potential kick higher would be great. Again, no crystal ball here, boys. But we'll see what happens. 20 contracts. Who is Friskies? What do you 20 contracts for what? For Tesla? For 1,000? How much is the open interest here on? Let's just do the monthlies. Look at that. A lot of open interest here. A lot of volume. Let's see what the open interest is. It's probably going to be fairly high. 5,200 contracts at the 1,000 strike price. This is the 19th of June. Do you think options or penny stocks or even more? Yeah. I wouldn't touch penny stocks. Lack of a better words, it's going to be a very, very difficult way to trade options. For me, penny stocks hurt me a lot because penny stocks just move so much. And I'm somewhat of an emotional person because that's one thing you'll figure out once you start trading. You're really going to find out a lot of things about your personality that you like or dislike. And one thing I don't like is a lot of red days, and red days give me anxiety. So I normally, once I make a trade, it needs to be right pretty fast for me to be green on it. So that's why I'm pretty picky on my entries a lot of the times. So with penny stocks, I can't recommend penny stocks at all. Maybe some mid caps. So anything, lack of a better word, so stocks trading above $15 or $20 are usually they have analysts that you can get data from. They have more of a better track record than stocks that are below $3 or $5 because that's what's considered the penny stocks. You have some Disney calls on 7/17, 7/15, the 130, eh? I don't know why I just turned Australian. what's today? The 6th, 7th, the 130. So you bought them. That's not too bad. Like, you still got 54 days left if you're planning on Disney coming back to all-time highs. But if you go back to the chart, it needs to break that 122 level for it to continue going higher. So we'll see on what it goes there. You're gonna have plenty of time. Again, the Disney parks are supposed to open up. Again, the official has not said, hey, the parks are opening up sometime in June. They haven't said that. They're just trying out different things. But again, what we've seen in Shanghai is that they're kind of tampering down on the capacity and so forth. But again, that being said, that could be a formula that they use here in the United States. But just be very careful out there. You do have time on those calls, but if you're just buying the straight calls, be very careful of that because they still are considered out of the money. You still got some days on it, but just be very mindful of that. Can you scan for options sweeper on TS? I don't know. I don't use the scanner to be quite much on. I know you can scan different various things for options. I kind of have some couple things here set up that I kind of test, but I don't really scan for options activity or anything like that if you're asking. Can you check BA real quick, please? For sure. So BA is going to come down to a lot of things. It has kind of popped off the last couple days. It's been above the 21, which is great. But that being said, that doesn't mean it's going to be an indication for ongoing strength. It's still somewhat in this like triangle or rectangle of no man's land of like 150 to like 120. Just been trading back and forth. Sideways. It's really going to come back to once the economy starts opening up. We start hearing some positive news. The airline stocks are doing better because they need to buy replacement parts and put new orders in for new airplanes and all that good stuff. I think it was Wesley identified a really cool ETF which I need to do some more research on what was it? DFEN. So this looks just like BA, and it's like a defense aerospace, but it's a 3-time X levered ETF. So that being said, be very careful of that. So I actually didn't know it was 3 times levered. I actually take that back. I normally don't like to trade those, but we'll see. BA, we did trade that a little bit. We kind of got out around 150 when it popped off. We need to kind of see a break more above here. It really is trying with the 5 and 8 exponential moving average, trying to cross through the 21 for a potential kick higher again. Initial price target around 157 to kind of test that. It is in a squeeze. The RSI is trying to print higher. The volume oscillator is trying to tick higher as well, which is great. Kind of printing this back out to a weekly chart. This kind of really just makes everything look pretty insane here from this point on where it's been trading. Like I remember when I remember trading this at like 137, and like a year later I looked at it again. It's like, how the heck did it get to 300? Like I missed that whole move, and I was like, well, if it hits $100 again, I'm gonna have to buy it. And I'm a man of my word. I bought it exactly at like a little bit below $100, and we traded it up to like 150 and got out due to the fact of just too many other unknown at the time. They were looking for money and they were looking for funding, and they were laying people off. And I didn't like that, of course, so I just kind of got out of it. It was initially a trade in my plan. I didn't want to turn a trade into an investment. That being said, on the weekly chart, it's kind of starting to build a base here. If you're trading this long term here, looking for, again, this thing has just been completely beaten up. You have to understand that this thing has been absolutely clobbered. So that being said, you have to be super mindful of and respect the what if has happened, and there's a lot of damage in this. There's a lot of emotions in this. There's a lot of people who lost a lot of money in this stock. So once it even ticks higher to try to break above the 150, you might get a lot of selling. A lot of people will let a weak hands in getting out because they had that emotional experience of, oh, I bought it at 300. Oh, now it's at 100. Oh no, if it gets to 200 or 150, I'll just take a small loss on it or something like that. Or they bought at 100 and they brought their cost average down to 150, and guess what? It pops up to 150 and they're out. So usually after a huge move down in a very short period of time, out of nowhere, you get a lot of overhead resistance, and it's going to be very tough, very heavy overhead resistance. The long-term trend has been completely broken and has been broken for some time, actually since last year. Basically, once it kind of traded below the previous low here, again, that was due to their airplanes crashing to their accelerometer thingamajigger failing on the new Max 8 and Max 9, I believe. That was just a tragedy. And then it kind of failed here again on the 21 and just came crashing down, and now we're just basically on trying to rebuild the support here and potentially trying to kick higher. Again, the parabolic SAR on the weekly chart could be switching over, which would be a great sign, honestly, for the long-term trade. But leave it at that. If there's any more stocks that we want to look at, if not, we're going to be calling it a day. We currently want to let you folks know we have a fantastic Discord chat. We have that down below in the description box. We have, 150, 135-ish people on the Discord. We have all funny things. We got some memes here. We got some memes being posted while we're watching. Questions. We got a lot of the trading stuff. We talk about share charts and videos and different things. Definitely check that out. And if you want to directly support the channel, we also have a link to a Tastyworks account, which we'll be actually working with and launching as well to kind of better look at smaller trading accounts and kind of looking at more of an option side of things. That link is down below as well. And last but not least, if you want to support the channel in the sense of giving a monthly donation or a fee, whatever you want to call it, we have a Patreon page there as well, between two different classes here, and basically you get some indicators that I can share with you. I can share some more of my charts on a daily basis. I'll share some of my watch list. I'll build some watch lists and share things, just fun things like that, and really just help support the channel. I greatly appreciate it. Guys, thank you so much for watching. You guys have a lovely evening. You have a wonderful Memorial Weekend here in the U.S., and everyone who has to go back to work tomorrow, I apologize. Again, guys, stay safe. Be nice to everyone, and good trading next week. Later. Peace.